Okay guys, we're back on lipstick here. We're going to do some rear shocks. Got the front ones on, got the cappers on, and brake lines on the front. And so we'll start putting some shocks here on the rear. And what we're going to use again, just like the front, Billisteens. And the number for these are 5100 series, made for 1 to 3 inch lift. I've been looking on this back end. Doesn't look like there's any lift on it. It said there was like a 2 or 2.5 inch tear flex. Looks like the front's just been spacered up with those rubbers that we looked at to be level. So these shocks are going to be a little bit too long, and I've seen these boots will kind of wad up on the back. So we'll probably have to look into getting something like a 2.5 or something, and maybe going to a little bigger tire. It's got about 33s on it now, but anyway, for now we're going to put these shocks on. Anyway, these are the, again, Billisteen 5100 series. These are 24, part number 24146-715. So you can see right there. Okay, so we'll go up underneath, show you what I'm kind of halfway set up under here. Let me see if I can get you under here with some light. And then we'll get a little tripod set up. Alright, so here we are. It's easier just to do this off the ground, I think. For me, yeah. It has to have a jack up to extend those a little, so I don't have to push them so far. But same as the front on the lowers. That's an 18 millimeter. Both sides just a bolt going from inside to outside. And then right up in here, if I get you a light. Right up on the end there, do you see those two? Let's see if we can get that set where you can see it. It's hard to do, sorry, with this camera. So I can just hold both in one hand here. Okay, right there is one. And then right there is the other. Those are both 16 millimeter. And those they have welded nuts on the back side, looks like, and they, anyway, when we run these out, we won't have to hold anything up on the top end, unless one of those would happen to break or something on those welds, but I think we're all right on this one anyway. They're not too rusty. Well, I've already pre-lubed, as you can see, the stuff dripping on there. So pre-lube those up a little bit, WD-40, PB, something, some type of penetrant, and we'll see what these are. And while we're down here, as you can see here, I was talking about redoing the diffs, reseal, clean them out, all that good stuff. As you can see, that is about to drip. So we do need to reseal those. I'm not going to put any crazy covers or anything on like that. I don't see them in their steel. At least you're not running aluminum. If you crack one, you can weld it out on the, weld it out there. I guess you could fill it with something. I don't back into it. I never really backed into anything. If it's going forward, I may put something on the front, a guard or skid plate or something. But so anyway, that's a Dana 44 rear. This one does have the E-Tech lockers. Even if you don't, it'll be the same process, but we'll do that here in a while too. Get it resealed. As I said, I already did the front because this thing came, the front end was locked up on it. They thought the diff was blown on it. And it was actually the E-locker had stuck, and I wish I could have got that on there, but I had to get that thing done just so I could get it to move. Because I mean, I couldn't do anything with it, and it did move under its own power. Just had some lights and some things wrong with it as far as the just throwing codes and stuff. But I'm gonna get a camera set up underneath here, and then we'll go ahead and put these shocks on. So see you in a second. Okay, we'll start with these 16s up here. Those two I showed you way up in here. This is just easier to do if you got a creeper, have to lay on a blanket, whatever. We don't need to jack the vehicle up. I'm not looking. I don't see why you would anyway. It's we're going to. I tell you what. Let's start down low. Let's start down low with this 18 here. Let's see what you're seeing here. Yeah, let's go down there. Let's go ahead and start with these 18s. Let's hang it that way when we pull it off, it'll drop on our faces. it's not going to be controlled. I would either way. Either way we can do it. Here, let's do one up, one down. Okay. And 16. I don't know what these. Those were like what, 74? I think we said the other day on the bottoms. These probably not much more. I don't know. Now those were very, very loose. I mean, not maybe 25, 30 foot-pounds is all up there. I'm sure they're supposed to be like at 50, the size of the bolt. So we'll go ahead and take those loose first. Like I said, guys, I've got impacts and stuff and electric impacts, but you guys ain't gonna have that stuff. I know it takes longer. But there you go. Just catch those in your face if you can. That's the best way. There's that 16 that we just took out right there. They're just small. Nothing big, but probably, I'm guessing those are like 50, 55 foot-pounds on that size. Bolt looks like about a 5/16 maybe on the. These are 16 millimeter threads, or heads on them, but look like about a, I guess what, 5/16. It's not very big, so probably 35 to 50 pounds, I would imagine, on torque. All right, get the bottoms. This is a simple job compared to the, obviously the fronts on that top stud. They're terrible. That one's on there pretty good. I think, like I said on the front, weren't these like 74 pounds, if I remember, 74 foot-pounds? Can't remember, 63 or 74. I think these are actually 74. Let's see if I grabbed, I didn't, I grabbed a 16. Let me grab an 18. Got to get some better batteries and maybe another camera so you can set up a couple of those maybe so you can see this a little better. I know this stuff's not a big deal, but I got that Big Joe Pro 13, but it's man, it uses the juice. Trying to put it on high resolution. You guys know anything about those cameras? You got the Wi-Fi shut off. I got the GPS shut off, and it's still. I do have it on high resolution, but my gosh, if I get, it's like you charge it for 4 hours and get like 3 minutes and 53 seconds worth of usage on it. Not great. And I haven't looked at any of these videos yet, so that may be even really bad. So at this point, just tapping that out. You're going to have a little bit of pressure from the shock, but that's it. It should be, I don't know, no, it won't be at neutral. But anyway, remember we got the top loose. So I'm just going to, where's my screwdriver or something in here. And just kind of driving it underneath so I can work this out, just like that. And there's some rebound to it. It's a little wet, not much, a little bit. I don't see anything else really down here. So we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull out both shocks because I want to put, as I usually do, wipe this down with Scotch-Brite or something, scrape it a little bit, dust that stuff off, and then I like to go ahead and shoot this with some black just to, because you can't really get to it once the shock's there, so I'd like to get just some black in here to cover some of that little rust. I'm just going to use that VHT like I always do. VHT roll bar paint. I'll show that to you too. I know we've used it a couple of times here. Again, just going to be the same on that, so I'll flip you around if you can see there. On that shock, we'll get some light up in there. I think that'll give you enough. A little bit of light there. Okay, and we'll do the same. We'll go up on the 16 up high. Doesn't matter either way. Just top, bottom, whatever you start with. This one you're going to be catching the shock, I guess, either way on either way you do it, but shouldn't be any different on this one here. Get this set up. Break these loose. Just get them both out. Yeah, I'd say like probably 50 pounds on those or so. Torque wise, up top, at least they feel like anyway. Torque elbow here. So these aren't rusted up bad at all because I didn't get a whole lot of fluid on the top there. I sprayed up in there a little, tried to, but this Jeep is not too bad. Obviously, if you working on a 250,000 mile off-road rig, these are going to be rusted and welded in on it. But if something happened there, break those off. I mean, instead of welding them, you can get to the back side. I mean, if you had to put a nut up top or whatever to hold that. These are kind of nice to get to. That's front, so just if you had aftermarket fenders, didn't have those plastic inner fender pieces in there, maybe a little easier with that top nut on any of those studded shocks like that suck. Especially if they're rusted in. Any of that. And we'll switch for 18 here. Again, nuts here on the outside, bolt comes in the front. Oh. Almost time to use a jack handle. Oh, that came out. See that spinning. I think before that drops down, because it will as soon as I put that bolt out. I'll go ahead and wedge that up underneath there. Gotta keep your face out of the way so you don't eat the shock if it happens to fall on you, happen to come out of there. Okay. And that'll make it come out easier anyway there. Okay. Prop it up, pop it out of there. Hold on to it good, because remember we're not attached on the top. And this one's about dead. See, I mean, it's coming out, but it's awful crunchy up underneath here too, so it's probably, who knows on the complete compression. It's got some charge to it, but it's still. Okay, so what I'm going to do in these pockets, as I said, I'm going to take VHT. I'm going to spray up and around here anywhere I get it, get an SOS probably, wipe it down a little bit, clean it off. These two, and because now's the time, because I can get behind them. So I'm going to take some black VHT, clean those up, put a little paint on them. So that's what it looks like when it's off. You can see in there. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to paint that up just a little bit there and up in there while I can get through it. Those are those two bolts are there. I'm going to go ahead and kind of shoot around there, get that covered in some paint. Anyway, so let me do that and get right back, then we'll do the install. Okay, back under here, threw some paint on. Around the VHT. See in here, I ran out of this VHT and used some of this satin protective enamel, Rust-Oleum. It's supposed to be satin, stops rust. And anyways, I decided to put some of this on there because I see some people say that, hey, you know, it matches the Jeep perfectly as far as the frame and everything else that they think, and everybody has their own opinion, but it doesn't look close to me. I don't like the color of it. I don't like how it lays on. This VHT is harder than heck. You can tell this kind of glossy, gooey look that it gets. It's just not, it's not anything like this VHT. Of course, $7 and about $13, $14 at AutoZone. You know, AutoZone or wherever you can find it, O'Reilly. Anyway, that's about the only thing I buy there, but it's this VHT is just not is definitely this, excuse me, this Rust-Oleum definitely will not do what this does. Just like I said, just the sheen and stuff. We'll see once that dries down. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it's fairly dry now, but it's just, you can just tell this stuff matches a little bit better. And we'll try it on the frame, and we do a little bit of touch up and stuff on those frames just to get the rust spots covered. It'll work for this. I mean, it's up underneath there, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be that hard at all. It doesn't feel like it either. It feels gooey, kind of goes on weird. Here, grab our shocks. These are about, if you put them side by side, it's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches longer than the originals. And again, it's for a 1 to 3 lift. These boots are going to ball up, as you'll see when I put these on here. So I will probably be putting some type of little lift. I'd like to go to 35s with this, but on the same hand, these tires are like brand new that are on this thing, and other than they're chewed up a little bit in the front. I hate to spend the money because I mean, I don't know that I'll even need anything bigger than that. So we'll get this started, and I guess in reality here, I can start one of these and then hook it on, since it's got open U's on the end of this. So we'll do that. And I thought I saw some bolts right here, but there we go. Okay. And again, these are 16, just reversing the process up in here. That light is in a terrible spot. So get these all started, and then we'll tighten everything down. Okay, that should, famous last words, hold up in there. This is the fight. Now, I may have to get the jack and push it up off of here, but these things are so stiff, and they are a shoulder breaker. My shoulders are already freaking trashed anyhow. So it is not. We got a long ways to go, and it's a finger pincher too. Once you get them up there. Yeah. I got nothing for leverage. Well, we may get the jacker, and I may run this up so I just don't have to push it so far. I can do this, but I'm gonna freaking struggle with this for I don't know how long before I get it in there. Having to go that way because these things are beefy, very beefy. Let me get something set up here. All right, we'll see how we do there. Put a jack underneath that arm up here, put it on pretty much full tilt as far as I can go, and as you can see, we only have to go a few inches, but sometimes a few inches might as well be a foot. We'll see if I can pinch my fingers. I can probably get a bar up underneath this, and I'm just anal retentive. I don't like to freaking scratch things up and get a new piece. I know it doesn't matter, this thing's gonna be so darn scratched up as it is, but I'm just weird that way, I guess. I'm gonna fight this boot back on here for a second. Okay. All right, it's back on so I can knock it back off again and put you back over here. So we're within 1.5 inches or so of the hole. So I'm going to try to get up underneath this with a pry bar if I can. Probably not. And let her slide in. Do not get your fingers back behind there because it will pinch the pee out of you. There is a lot of pressure and it will pinch her right off. And let me try to get this fed up over maybe, because we're turning in there is our problem. Let's get a little bar here for the punch. And let me see if I can spin this and catch it maybe. There we go. A little bit wide. It's like, no, it's good. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there to catch it on the way down. So we don't want to undo all of our work here. Get that out. And this bolt goes in from the inside. There we go. Start that on. Okay, and we'll go ahead and probably do our other ones. We can snug that a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and get that other one popped in there. I'm going to jack to the other side. I'll check up torque specs, but I think this is like 74. These are probably like close to 50, I would guess. They felt like about 50. Again, we'll put our long extension up in here. See if you can see up in there. This is definitely nothing hard. There's definitely pretty basic on all this. Back ones are kind of nice. Go ahead and start those in all the way. I've already hung them, but nothing spectacular here for sure on doing this. I'll show you when we flip those over to the other side. I'll show you how it's not, there's no bind because it's obviously, it's, you know, even this riding lower than it should because it's 1 to 3 inches, so say that we're a 1 inch compressed. Unless you go over some big bumps, you're not going to trash the thing because it's still going to have plenty of room to just go down the road regularly. But we need to get something under there so we can, so when we flex it out a little bit, we're not smacking everything. It does have bump stops, but you know, it's not, we're not going to trash the shocks just from doing that. The boots, on the other hand, they'll invert and they'll bind up. So I may or may not want to really do that for too long, or we'll be putting new boots on these things, and that's, I'd rather not spend money for something that I could have took care of. So anyway, we might go with a couple inch spring lift, or I may go with a, I don't know, I may try just a cheap rubber lift. That way just retain the stock suspension and just put bumpers or the little rubbers in there. Okay, so I'm going to take this jack down, stick it on the other side because it seemed like that worked pretty good. Should have done that in the first place. Right there. Okay, and we'll get this one on. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to run jack around to the other side and articulate that side up. Setting this jack underneath this control arm, as far as the control arm bracket anyway, not on the control arm. And when you're pushing up, make sure you got enough room so that control arm doesn't come down. and you put a big crease in it for some reason. And we're going up. I'll pretty much put this to full tilt as far as what this jack's got on the way. We're actually starting to come off the ground at that height. You know, it's about twisted out. About twisted out as far as it'll go. Next shock. 24, 14, 6, 7, 1, 5. Okay, we'll start again with the top. See where you guys are at. Somewhere in there. Shot a little bit of paint on this side. Yeah, that's not. I don't care for that paint. That Rust-Oleum's just not as good as far, in my opinion. I'll stick with the VHT. You can just tell it's a lot harder. I mean, if you want this is just gooey. Kind of, and I know it's not dry yet, but it's just, you can just tell. It's just kind of, I don't know. You just have to shoot some and see. Especially compared to VHT. I mean, there's a reason why they can make it cheap. This stuff, Rust-Oleum. You want to paint some porch furniture or something with it, I guess it's good, but I ain't gonna use it for this crap. It's just not for me. I'll use good stuff. Okay, so we're almost up to where we need to be here. Let's go ahead and get our bolt ready and see if we can take our fingers off. Flip around. I'm just using a cheap, this is just a really cheap set of thing always wants to turn pry bars here. I think these things are like $9 at old Harbor Freight. I mean, they're nothing. They're cheap. They work good. On the other hand, the person using them, like me, is not always the best at it, as you can tell. These things are, you do not want to get your hand caught in here, because I know this. These things are beefy. These shocks do not, they would not, fingers wouldn't bother them a bit. May get a little pause at the bone, but that'd be about it. These things are solid. They are good shocks. I like them. I like real steel. Then we're going to go end to out here. Bolt coming in from the tire. See that? It's coming. You guys see it over there? A little sticky. Okay. Alright, I'm going to get the old torque stick out here in just a second. Get this tightened up somewhat. 16 again on top. These two bolts. Like I said, I'm torquing them because I want to, I mean, I don't know, if I'm in here, might as well. But in reality, snug them up good. I know you guys are laughing at me because I ain't no good of doing them. You know, why is he torquing freaking shocks, and you don't have to, but I'm going to. If you're watching me, I'm gonna try to do it right. I may do it 5 times, but I'm gonna try to do it right. $18 down here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let that down. We're gonna see how that's set. They may not set that, they may not bunch up like, no, not too bad. Not too bad, we still have a little bit of, they are inverting and setting on the bolt here, but as you can see here, they're not too bad. They're hanging down. They're inverting that. They should be like that. They're inverting a little bit, but I'd rather them do that than pinch and wad up. But they could use a inch or so lift. So I'll go back and I'll tell you. I'm going to go back and I'll torque these a little bit. See how they hang just a little. Anyway, that's all there is to installing those back shocks. I'll try to. I'm gonna look up torques on those. These bottoms are probably 74 like the other ones, and the top, I'm guessing that's 5/16, so 35 to 50 pounds, somewhere around there. They're not going anywhere. Anyway, let me pull all this stuff out. All right, guys, I think we're gonna call that good for this video. Let me kind of recap here. So we did that front stabilizers, 24158 428. It's 5100 series Bilstein for that. Rear shock that we just put on 24146715 Bilstein 5100, and they're made from 1 to 3 inch lift. So is the front, and that front that we put on was a, you can see there, 24146. again, Bilstein 5100. That's the brushed steel looking ones with the black boots. Calipers we put on, these are Detroit axle that I used anyway. Part number 18B5045. Obviously the other side, they're going to be built different for right and left. I did get some rears too. We did put rears on. Part of the offsets, I did buy rear lines too. This was a kit on here. This is a kit. These are RCs made by Rough Country. I like their products. They seem to do real well, other than that right there. 89708. These are 4 to 6 inch lift extended brake lines. They're not extended, you just relocate so they can be extended. But anyway, that killed our problem with the obviously that front end dragging, because in that bottom of that caliper, or that bottom of that line, is where that thing squeezes down, gets rust in it, and then that's where all that water, I think, sets kind of in there, the moisture in that line. And then all of a sudden you're not releasing your brake caliper, you're squeezing, and it, it'll bite and go that way, and then when you let off, it's still dragging because it can't return that fluid. We did that. These Terraflex offsets, if you're wondering, 1101 255, these offsets, I don't know if I'm a big fan of them. I mean, they're built well. They're built well, and I guess on the right thing, they would be okay. These, I really didn't need them. They're short enough, the lines are. Maybe once you start going up and start, if you had a couple 2-3 inches line, that'd really be handy. But I just don't, to me, it's not a big deal. Oh, on those back shocks. Those rear shocks, the lower bolts, the lower bolts on the rear shock, 56 foot-pounds, if you care. And then the uppers, those two little upper 5/16s, 37 foot-pounds. And on the front, that stabilizer was 50 pounds. Let's see, what else? Calipers, we calipered the line 23 pounds. 26 pounds on the calipers, the caliper cage, 100, 120. Anyway, I kind of wrote those up there in case. So we've taken a few things off of here. I guess we're starting to get there. Here's my list. Every time I mark something off, I find something. I'm sure it's a Jeep. As we fix, we're gonna break, but we're gonna find things that are broke. It's just how they are. Shock and stabilizer, we can mark that off. So as you can see through here, we got rear diff service. I showed you underneath there, it was leaking. Trans case service, we need to do. I got a filter and stuff in there. I just, Mag 1's a good train, want to keep it good. Now, I don't know if it's had a good life, bad life, don't care. We're gonna do it anyway. Thermostat flush, got that P1028 code that keeps flashing up. That is a thermostat. That's it's hot or cold. It's open a little too much, closed a little too much. Seems to be running cool, so it'll throw that code because it's not within the mean on that. So it needs flushed anyway. It's a 2014. It's 11 years old. Need to flush that. Put a thermostat in it. A lot of housing and thermostat. Serpentine belt. We'll put that on just so we don't have to worry about it. Throw the old one in the back. It's got an exhaust leak, as you heard that ticking. I did buy a smoker for this, and the first time I ever used a smoker, we'll have to figure out how it does that. Passenger seat belts, crap. I tried to fix it, went through, cleaned it up like it. Doesn't work. Winch, bumper, gotta get those. Battery cable, I just cleaned it up, I put it up here. Rock rails, oil change, air filter. We're gonna paint the frame. Needs an alignment, obviously. We gotta figure out that suspension issue, like I said. Fix one thing, find another. I just saw that that's new LED headlights that I had. This he just put in when I bought this. They're also one of them's not coming on, so it's probably just a wiring deal. They probably tied it in, and we'll go through that and actually try to do that right. PCV we'll have to do. Clean the throttle body. Those things they always need, especially if you have dusty. If you go down dusty stuff, throttle body needs cleaned on these things always. It's easy to do. I'll show you. It's clean up the idle, get a little better fuel mileage out of it because it's not stuck. We're gonna call this a conclusion to this one on old lipstick here, and we'll. Anyway, before I leave, I'd like to thank my sponsors, get my cameraman and bring him over, and the sponsors here. Okay, so. Anyways, no, it's just me. I'm not doing this for sponsorship. I'm not doing it for anything else. I just come out here. I like to work. I talk to myself a lot, so I figured it'd be a good idea if I just brought you along. That you kind of act halfway sane, I guess, and you know, I always pretended I have an imaginary friend. Now I may really have one. But thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry it's boring. I'm sorry the camera works horrible. It will get better. I'm gonna try to buy another camera, maybe some different tripods to get up underneath there. Some way of helping figure this thing out. I'm not a cameraman. I'm not a mechanic either, but I can pretend on both. So anyway, we'll call this conclusion. Please like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing, guys. It keeps me going. I just like working on this stuff. I love to show you guys things. If you have something, maybe a mower next week. I don't know. We'll just find anything and everything. I like Jeeps. I like four-wheel. We're trying to do this Overland thing. Not Overland, because I know Overland's hard. So please, those guys at Overland, don't say, I know it's hard. We're gonna hit some trails, maybe camp once in a while. Not true Overland. But I need a rig that I can take out there and not worry about it breaking, or at least I can blame it on myself if it does. Thanks so much for watching this. I sure appreciate it. Hit me up with any questions you have, anything I can help. If you guys think it's stupid, great, tell me, that's fine. Tell me what I can do different though. I don't like always tell everybody, I don't mind being yelled at or called stupid. Tell me how I can do it better, because that's what I want to do. And again, thank you all. I appreciate it very much.